Jedi? What does it all mean? We have questions. They have answers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Yeah, let's see. How's this look? Hey, fellow Star Wars fans. This is Josh from Geeks Reborn, and I'm going live with Star Wars Celebration. And this is the conference in Orlando, Florida. And today, right now, they're going to be showing the first trailer of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. And so there's a lot of anticipation for this movie because in the first one, there wasn't much of Mark Hamill, and this one, he's going to be taking center stage, so we get to see Luke Skywalker in full force. So let's just get back to the conference. They're talking to Kathleen Kennedy. She just thanked everyone for watching Rogue One and saying, she said, they took a big risk. They weren't sure whether it was going to be a hit, but she wanted to thank everyone for coming out for that movie, which is great.
Just the positivity, feeling the encouragement, and just getting to actually, I don't know, just meet you guys and get to know you a little bit. Thank you. This is the best family in the world, man. You guys are the best. Made me feel so good. So thank you. Amazing. All right. So now we've gotten all of the pleasantries out of the way. I have to ask you the question on everybody's mind. Where are we at with The Last Jedi? We're in post-production.
We're in post-production at the moment for The Last Jedi.
Well, and it's all coming together. Yeah. Was that a picture, by the way, before? Can we go back for a second? Is there a picture of you? Hang on. No, not that. That's you with these people. We did that. Is there a picture of you signing the Millennium Falcon? Did I see that right?
So the director was signing the Millennium Falcon.
That's a perk of the job. That is so cool.
Ryan Johnson.
So I assume there are no close-up shots now of the Millennium Falcon anymore. No, you can't. Yeah, if you look very closely on any of the flybys, you'll see. Yeah. All right, so Kathy, what does Ryan bring in terms of new style to the Star Wars universe?
Well, I think you're already getting a sense of it, but I'm going to embarrass him by saying that he is on his way to standing alongside many of the great filmmakers that I've had the opportunity to work with.
On Twitter, let everyone know that I'm live and that Star Wars: The Last Jedi trailer is coming out any second.
He has an amazing uniqueness to what he does. He also writes as beautifully as he directs, which is quite incredible. And he writes amazingly fierce and independent women. He's also got a great sense of humor. And that, as everybody in this room knows, is so important to Star Wars. So it's a pretty fantastic package.
I should stop talking after that and just leave the stage. Everything is just downhill after. Thank you, Kathy. That means so much. All right, so Ryan, tell us about shooting the movie. The whole Pinewood connection. Star Wars has a history of shooting in London. Talk about that. Well, I guess we had the time of our lives making this movie. It was such a joyful experience from top to bottom, and we were shooting in Pinewood Studios in England, which
so they're shot in England, which Star Wars usually does, which is great.
Growing up,
they're continuing that tradition.
Pinewood Studios was like Camelot or something. It was like this mythical place that you heard about with the movies that. Bond movies were shot there, and to actually set up camp there and be able to come into work every day, it just added to this magical experience. The legacy really is insane because I've shot 2 films in London, and the only thing the crew ever wants to talk about are the Star Wars films. They're like, oh, that's where the Millennium Falcon was. We're like, we need to be setting up for lunch now. So, Ryan, you also spent time in Ireland, I saw on social media.
Want to thank my coworker Bernice for bringing this back from Florida. Well, from her Disney Cruise Line ship. This is the BB-8 hat.
They're
lightsabers.
Which is
Luke
pretty cool.
Skywalker, a lightsaber. I can't possibly do my homework, Papa.
There we go.
That's a terrible Irish.
To get a
Apologize to
haircut.
any locals who
I
actually
know.
watch
I've
it
never
by
left
accident.
Ireland again.
That's-
But is it like crazy?
Yeah, well, it was. I'll tell you, man, because we were up and down the west coast of Ireland, and everywhere we went. And anyone who's in Ireland right now who's watching this, we miss you guys. We love you guys. You guys were so.
So we did some
welcoming.
shots in
This
Ireland also.
Big unruly film crew that came in and set up all this stuff, and you guys were just had so much love for all of us. And man, we
Awesome.
had a great time there, and shot some beautiful, beautiful landscapes and just some great stuff.
Speaking of shooting
Wow.
landscapes, I hear that you took a lot of pictures on set. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, that was something I realized at the beginning of it. I realized I had kind of a front row seat for all this cool behind the scenes stuff, and I was, besides the set photographer, I was like the only person on set who could take pictures and not get like tackled and kicked in the face. So I have this is my war horse. This is my Leica film camera that I got right before Looper, and then when I was making Looper, I just had this on my arm, and I
Oh,
just
you made
shot
Looper.
a ton of
That was cool.
stills. Nice.
Directed Looper, which is
So I did the same thing on
pretty
this movie.
great
I just had
sci-fi
this
film.
camera on my arm the entire time, and anything I saw was cool. I would just snap away at it. These are some of the shots you see here. But I ended up taking like thousands of pictures of the whole process, and it's the man.
Just showing some shots that
He's the
the
man.
director,
Oh,
some
that's the man.
still frames he took.
Get that attitude.
There's a picture of Carrie Fisher in there. Everyone cheered.
And it ends up being, I mean, it was
All
was
black and
fun,
white
but
photos.
Also, at the end of this whole experience, because this is like, you do this, this is a once in a lifetime experience. Just to have all these memories captured, and this poor guy, I feel so bad for that guy. Someone's got to do it.
These are incredible. So the entire film was shot. Wow.
Yeah. I kept shouting, "That's Stuart," our second AD, was grabbing that thing. I think that's Stuart. And I kept shouting, "You're the Force, Stuart. You're the Force."
Wow, unbelievable. So the entire film was shot in black and white?
Yeah, like we haven't told Disney yet, though, so let's keep that. Don't tweet that. Don't tweet that. Alan Horn
It's
doesn't
an
know that
exclusive.
yet.
You heard it here first. I would be remiss not mentioning someone we all miss and love, the great Carrie Fisher.
Okay, so we're talking about Carrie Fisher right now.
Yeah, yesterday I watched that incredible tribute. I bawled. Then John Williams came out, and I fell on the floor sobbing. It was really incredible, and I'd love to hear from both of you guys. What was it like continuing to develop the great princess, now General Leia?
Well, it was extraordinary, needless to say. Carrie is remarkable in the movie. I mean, what Ryan wrote and the performance she ends up giving, I think you guys are going to find that an amazing tribute to her talent.
So Kathleen Kennedy's just saying that we're going to love Carrie Fisher's last performance.
Yeah, Carrie.
That's
I mean,
something
it
spectacular.
was such a moving tribute yesterday, and I don't know if I can add to that. I love
Yesterday
her so
they
much, I just adore her. And,
showcased a tribute to Carrie Fisher. I've posted that on our YouTube page, youtube.com/geeksreborn, and also on our blog, hollywoodgeekreport.com. It's a really great little tribute.
Have these kind of stream of consciousness jazz poetry kind of like ad-lib sessions, and I would just scribble on my script everything she said, and then at the end of 6 hours there would be like a 4-word line of dialogue that would be like the distillation of all that. That was brilliant. I'd be like, oh my god.
Yeah, I saw that piece yesterday where she can remember every single line that she did from all of it. That was incredible. Well, she truly was ahead of her time and led the way for what has become a legacy of strong, empowered heroines. Speaking of strong, empowered heroines, 2 years ago at Celebration in Anaheim, we were introduced to a new heroine, a new face who has now become part of the iconic Star Wars lexicon, someone I've had the pleasure of working with getting to know, and harassing on a daily basis. Please welcome Daisy Ridley!
Daisy Ridley's being introduced. All the lightsabers in the crowd are pointing in celebration. There's nobody quite like Star Wars fans, that's for sure.
Thank you so much.
Oh, hello, Newman.
Hello.
Daisy. I would love to put the past behind us. It's not about my questions anymore. It's about their questions now. You don't owe me anything.
Thanks, Jonathan, for the compliment on my nice hat over here. It was a gift from a coworker, and straight from Disney Cruise Line. Next time she said she's going to get me the R2D2 one.
No to that one. Okay, are you a Skywalker? Is your name Ray Skywalker?
So Daisy Ridley was just asked whether she was a Skywalker. Asking for some spoilers here.
That's a popular answer.
Who doesn't know their own last name? Could you imagine if I went up to you and I said, my entire name is Josh, good to meet you? Are you like the Madonna of Jakku?
She's like Madonna. That's funny.
Okay. Alright. I see we're getting nowhere, Daisy. So I'll start off with a simple question. Daisy, did you enjoy working on The Last Jedi?
Look at me. That's cool. Do you know I actually can tell you some things?
Oh, she didn't give us some spoiler.
Yeah.
Let's hear.
A small amount I have for you. What I can say is, in The Last Jedi, we go deeper into Rey's story. And what is very apparent from where we left off in The Force Awakens and where we begin with The Last Jedi is Rey has a certain expectation as to what she might be getting from Luke and what that might entail. And as a lot of people know, it's difficult when you meet your heroes because it might not be what you expect.
Oh. So her hero might not be what
That's quite a lot,
she
right?
expects.
It's plenty. That's plenty.
That's it.
Luke
But I will
Skywalker.
say, that picture was shot in Ireland. We had the most incredible time. It was very nerve-wracking going back for the second time. Because the first time around, I didn't quite know what I was doing. I was just bumbling along, and luckily I had Kathy and JJ and everyone as a wonderful kind of cushion around me. The response to The Force Awakens was amazing. But coming back the second time, I felt a certain responsibility, and I was like,
She's talking about the pressure
now, and I kind of
of
but luckily
the
Ryan
second,
was
the
beautiful
Last
in the
Jedi,
film,
Last
and it
Jedi
was great,
after
and we had the best
the,
time.
you know,
Amazing.
great response to The Force Awakens.
I've spoken to you about this before. As a father of two girls, I feel, and I think a lot of this is due to you as well, I feel incredible about the fact that there are all of these strong, empowered females now inhabiting the Star Wars world in the mold of Leia. What is it like coming back here 2 years later, being with the fans when they first got to meet you? Now they all have your action figures. They all have your dresses. Some of them have your, not all of them. But, you know, what is it like knowing that you are a part of this history now?
What I will say is,
So they're
people
just
kept
talking
kind of
about
congratulating me on that, and that was
the-
Michael, Larry, and JJ, and Kathy, and all of the story
the powerful
directors,
women
and
in
that's who
Star
created
Wars
the
stories.
I was just lucky enough to be able to
Ever
embody
since
that.
Princess Leia, and how
It's insane. It's like it kind of goes like I
Daisy
kind of forget it
Rey is
happened, and
taking
then, like, I can
that,
see people wearing the costume. I'm like, oh my god,
that
this is
role
real.
now.
But it's really wonderful, and especially people who have little girls. The way that people talk about Rey and the way that this film has affected them is amazing. So I'm very happy to be part of it.
Can I say, Josh, actually? So, I mean, that's very gracious of Daisy, and she's very right. And obviously, she's not Rey. She's a great actor, is playing Rey. But so much of the stuff that people respond to in that character, and having gotten to know Daisy and gotten to work with her over the past few years, the tenacity and the bravery and the humor and the depth and so many of the things that make little kids want to be Rey, just like the things that people looked up to in Leia came from Carrie, those things are Daisy.
Really cool shot. By the way, my daughter's favorite action figure is the Rey doll, and I say, put that away. She won't answer any questions. Put it away. All right, without divulging too much, obviously, what are you most excited about for fans to experience in The Last Jedi?
I think what we're all very excited for, Luke's first.
So we're all excited for Luke's first words.
I will say that
Daisy
is definitely true. In addition to Daisy, The Force Awakens introduced other talented newcomers to the world. 2 years ago,
So we have
we
3
met
more
another
chairs.
star for the very first
Possible
time
guests.
on the celebration stage, and now after a massively successful on-screen debut and a world press tour, who doesn't recognize this celebrity? Returning to the Star Wars celebration, please welcome BB-8.
BB-8 just got introduced. That's hilarious. Is that real or is that digital? Huh. Yeah, it looks a little digital. Oh, yeah, it's digital.
Remember you and I were talking backstage. I was telling you that I've been studying Droid Rosetta Stone. Right? Got a couple of questions for you.
I don't know.
First off, how are you today, 8? Do you mind if I call you 8? Oh, he says, no, please call me BB-8. Unlike Daisy, I have a full name, and I intend to use it.
Huh.
Oh, that's passive-aggressive, BB-8.
So BB-8 is giving
Right,
some
what was
lip.
it like working with the great Ryan Johnson? No, right. I love Looper, too. Yeah. No, who doesn't love JGL? He said, what? Shame on you, Ryan. Shame on you. That joke went over much better in rehearsal. All right, finally, this is a softball question, BB-8. Take your time with this one. How should I phrase this? Who is the last Jedi? Come here, BB-8.
Droid, don't do it.
Don't look at them. BB-8, look at me.
Who's the last Jedi?
Look at me, BB-8.
It's a question asked to BB-8.
No, I know what an NDA agreement is. No.
Huh.
There's
Signed a
no
non-disclosure.
There's no reason to bring lawyers into this. All right, BB-8, ladies and gentlemen.
BB-8 leaves the stage.
That is the coolest thing in the world. I'm like amazed at how much the technology has advanced. Because it used to be like a puppet, right? Like puppet control.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's BB-8's.
I know that's BB-8, but his. We'll talk about it later when the cameras are off. So speaking of BB-8, he was one of my favorite characters in the film, and I think one of the coolest things about him was all of the physical comedy that you guys came up with. I remember the moment where he uses the lighter as a thumbs up.
Yeah, that was pretty
Are
funny
there
when
new
BB-8 used the lighter as a
technological
thumbs up
advancements in comedy moments with regard
in The
to
Force Awakens.
Oh, yes, there are. Yeah, the best advice I got going into this whole process was from JJ's editors, who told me you can't have enough BB-8. And we followed their advice. He's the Buster Keaton of this movie now. Now I'm excited for you guys to see what he does in this movie. It's pretty fun.
Incredible. All right. He has become one of the most recognizable faces in the world after his Star Wars performance in The Force Awakens. Please welcome everyone's favorite former stormtrooper, John Boyega.
John Boyega has been introduced. Everyone's favorite former stormtrooper. And he's wearing a white jacket. Pretty funny. Very nice jacket. Has a stormtrooper feel to it.
I mean, John. Oh my god!
He's pretty excited to be there. It's awesome.
Clearly, the fans love you. How does that make you feel?
Oh, this is crazy. Well, it's good to be back, eh? Good to be back. 2 years. This is
Finn.
awesome.
All right. When we last saw you, how should I put this? You were not in great shape. How's the recovery process been? A lot of therapy and bacta tanks. What's going on with Finn right now?
It's been painful. It's been a process. I think Finn definitely stood up for himself at the end of Force Awakens and caught a bit of an injury to the back. So he's in recovery, but he will be back in The Last Jedi. And,
Finn did have injury at the end of The Force Awakens, near death. So we'll see what happens.
One of the moments that I remember clearly was watching you jump up and down so enthusiastically when you saw that first trailer. What is it like going from that moment to being here now after all these years, knowing that everybody knows your character and it's as iconic now as Han Solo, as Luke Skywalker? How does that make you feel?
It's phenomenal. I mean, but it's a process I didn't go through alone. Obviously, I've had Daisy here and Kathy's there, been there since the beginning, and JJ, and now we've got Ryan on board and a new team at The Last Jedi. But it feels fantastic and phenomenal to be here and to go through that path. And it just feels crazy that we're so far away from The Force Awakens, and now we're at the second installment of the franchise. It's awesome.
You and Daisy have gone on like this meteoric rise together. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, do the two of you ever just call each other up and go, "Hey, cultural icon, what are you up to today?"
Well, me and Daisy, I was working on Pacific Rim, and Daisy was working on. Yeah. And we spoke to each other in different costumes, and it was strange. It was kind of like, no, we need to get back home. It's good to be home. It's good to be home.
We love having you back home. All right, so John, one of the iconic relationships that come out of The Force Awakens is that of Finn and Poe, and of course the now legendary jacket. So unfortunately, Oscar couldn't be with us today, but I've got to ask, does that relationship continue to blossom in The Last Jedi?
Absolutely. Poe's my boy. So
Just asked whether Poe and his relationship continues
Anything else you want to tell us?
in The Force Awakens, in The Last Jedi. He said yes.
Well, in The Last Jedi, it's a test for all the characters, but specifically for Finn, he wants to find his place now. Is he going to be a part of the Resistance, or is he going to keep running away from the First Order? We'll see.
Cryptic. Speaking of the First Order, is there anything that you can tell us about the dark side? After the demolition of Starkiller Base, does the First Order have to go back to the drawing board, or was that just one part of their
So
plan?
we have a question about the First Order.
Galactic domination.
What do they have in store next?
Starkiller Base, big loss. But they
I'd
did
say
have
lost their
to
base.
take out the seed of the Republic, and that's thrown the galaxy into chaos. And the First Order are jumping on that at the beginning of our movie, very aggressively, not sitting on their hands. They're making some big moves at the start of our film, so things are going to get dire.
Everybody looks so pensive and angry, and that's so upset.
Everyone looks
I can't
upset.
wait to find
Yep.
out what they're upset about. So we know we find out more about Rey. We know we find out more about Finn. We know that BB-8 comes back. Are there any new characters from The Last Jedi that you care to tell us about today, Ryan?
There might be a few.
There might be a few new characters.
We have a couple really fun new characters coming out, and a few of whom I'm really excited to introduce you guys to, but one in particular who's here today, who has the biggest new part in the movie, and ironically is played by the smallest actor, She is one of my favorite people. You guys are going to love her some. I adore her, and I'm so proud and happy to introduce to all of you Kelly Marie Tran, who plays.
Okay, so they just introduced Kelly Marie Tran.
Whoa!
Crazy, right?
Hello.
Crazy. I'm sorry about teasing you before that there were only going to be 10 people in the audience.
Yeah,
I
you
feel
lied
bad
to
about
me,
that.
Josh.
Yeah.
You lied.
So, Kelly, this actually isn't your first celebration, I understand. You were in London last year. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I came to Celebration last year. I was sporting my Finn t-shirt. I walked the floor. I learned how to use a lightsaber. I went to all the cool booths. It was incredible. And I
So
got
they still haven't
to
said
just
who
hang out.
Kelly Marie Tran
Just-
is going to be playing.
The energy and the enthusiasm is just insane. It was amazing to be there.
So, when you were cast in The Last Jedi, I understand you had to keep it a secret, even from your own family.
Yeah, they didn't know for 4 months after. I told them I was doing an indie movie in Canada. At one point, I actually got some maple syrup so I could like bring it back to them, so they thought that I was really in Canada.
I love how far the lie went.
I was like, I'm committing to this.
All right, what can you tell us about your new character?
I'm so excited to share this with you. So my character's name is Rose.
Rose is the new character.
She's part of the Resistance. Yeah, and she works in
Cool.
maintenance, and I just can't wait for you to meet her. Oh, there she is.
That's her. She's pretty rad.
She works maintenance. Cool.
Rose is a maintenance worker in the Resistance, and for me, growing up, one of the things as a kid in Colorado watching these movies, you feel like you're at just watching Luke Skywalker kind of get pulled out of, and I think it's why people respond to Rey also, get pulled out of wherever he is and be this unlikely hero. The notion that anyone out there, any of us, can step up and turn into a hero. That's really kind of where the character of Rose comes from. She's not a soldier. She's not looking to be a hero, and she gets pulled in a very big way into an adventure in this movie with Finn. And Kelly just embodies that for me.
Whoa!
Kelly, last night in the elevator, that came out badly. We were in the elevator with a bunch of people. Last night, I looked at you and I said, this is great. Your life is about to change. Your anonymity is going to be, I mean, you can ask these two. How do you feel today, like coming out here and knowing that you are now a part of the Star Wars universe?
You know, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's just, it's incredible. I mean, I think so many people tell you what this is going to be like, and then you get on the stage and you just hear so much excitement and so much love for this thing that you get to be a part of, and I just want to do it justice. So thank you, everyone, for letting me be here.
Yeah.
And now, a man who plays one of the most iconic characters in film history. The one, the only,
Okay, that's better.
Mark Hamill.
Okay, so we're going to introduce Mark Hamill. Hey guys, we're back again, and we're live at the Star Wars Celebration. We have the trailer is going to be shown live for The Last Jedi, and Mark Hamill is just being introduced right now, which is pretty awesome.
I thought they provided me all my ad libs, which is good for me. I love you back.
You just hear the Joker in his voice.
They saw you yesterday. You're just like old hat at this now. You're doing this every day.
I never get used to it, you know? We go back to our everyday lives where, you know, instead of adoring fans, my wife's telling me to take out the trash and pick up after the dogs in the yard. It's very unglamorous.
So I have to ask you the question on everybody's mind, I imagine, for the last 2 years. Does Luke Skywalker finally get to speak in this film?
I might be one of the most valuable characters to Lucasfilm, not because I'm a legacy character, but thanks to short-term memory loss. I don't remember what I had for breakfast, so I don't remember. And I'm joking, but even when I went in and did ADR and saw this footage, it was like an out-of-body experience. You know, it's so contained in its own world. And you show up in jeans and a t-shirt, and it's really scary. You know, Ryan came out to my house, like he went to all of us, to discuss the script and so forth, and we spent several hours. I brought him into my TV room and showed him my favorite episode of Sergeant Bilko. You know, important things. And I said to him, the truth of the matter is, one of the reasons I love Rogue One so much and the prequels was that I was not in them. I could just relax and enjoy. I didn't have any anxiety about whether I did the right thing or was successful. And I said to Ryan, you know, we had a beginning, a middle, and an end in our original trilogy. I just don't want to tempt fate. You can't catch lightning in a bottle over again. And the truth be known, Ryan, is I'm terrified. You know what he said? So am I.
Huh.
And I said, now,
Yeah.
that's a director I could love. Because he didn't...
That's the truth.
And I'd seen Looper and Brothers Bloom, all of it, and Brick. You can't categorize. You know, a lot of times you see directors' films and there's a thread that goes through them all, and his films are all so diverse and also
Very different.
ambitious in their own way. And he, in this experience, he's rocketed to the top of my all-time favorite directors, believe me.
Awesome.
I couldn't have done it without him. He was my seeing eye dog, and all I knew was, if Ryan's happy, I'm happy. I totally turned over my performance to Ryan and just sort of knew that if he was satisfied, then we got it right.
I think the feeling seems very mutual among the cast. Coming back all these years later, what is it like to find Luke's voice again? Not just vocally, but metaphorically. What's it like getting back into this character after all these years? Did you go back and watch the old films? Is he at such a new place that it didn't matter?
Well, in 7, you discovered Luke obviously is a hermit on this island, and there's so much unsaid about where he's been and what he's done. And
basically
actors
turned
like
into
to write
Obi-Wan.
their own backstories. You know, you want to figure out what you've done and where you've been. But I realized that wasn't really important to the story of Force Awakens. I still made it up myself. And, you know, I tried to show it to JJ, and he, you know, was accommodating, but basically patted me on the head, gave me a cookie, and made me go away. Because, you know, whatever, make it up. I mean, they allude to things that have happened, and to a certain extent, you know, it's not Luke's story anymore. But I think he's an important part of the overall arc of the saga. And again, there's a lot of mystery about him, even within the film. So you have to fill in your own backstory. I'm sure there'll be comic books and video games and novels that tell the story, but like I say, and I shared with Ryan a lot of my own things. I thought I have to relate to things that are real in my own life to understand where Luke is at this point in his life.
I'm just going to break in here. Make sure that everybody out there realizes he is so significantly important to this next film.
Well, that's good to hear.
Mr. Modesty.
And by the way, I look down and, you know, I see Olaf, I see Wonder Woman, I see God, I see my colleague Daisy, my son,
My son.
and this one. If she were any cuter, she'd be an actual Disney cartoon. Doesn't come any cuter than Kelly.
I love that you look at me and see an animated character. Thank you. Now, this is a personal question because, this is how I approach a lot of my roles. Did you do a lot of physical training to get into Luke Skywalker?
We all had a good laugh about that. Because, when I read the script, the very
Physical
first
training.
line is Luke Skywalker is damaged. I went, okay, let's go. And I'm reading about, everybody talks about me all through the movie. Skywalker must be stopped. The sword of Skywalker is dangerous. I kept making all these notes. Ooh, that's the 33rd mention. And people are talking about me. You know what I thought was when I said, you know what, I know I'm probably going to come in towards the end of the third act. But I thought when you were in the forest and the lightsaber jiggled in the snow, I said, okay, here I am. And it flies into the hands of Rey. She didn't even do any training. Although you all reminded me, I didn't finish. I dropped out of school, so I should talk, right? But no, eventually, the only thing that made me nervous is I thought if it doesn't work and I turn around and it seems so obviously a cliffhanger, which I'm standing on the edge of a cliff. Get the metaphor? I thought maybe they should just print "to be continued" on my forehead.
Yeah.
But after all that training, I went for 50 weeks, twice a week, never canceled and was never late. Not like some people, I can say, space sis. But so I thought I was going to do something physical. I read the last page. I said, really? I turn and remove my hood? That's it? Then I joked about
So he did all this training for The Force Awakens.
Cut at the last minute. See, I've lost total credibility with the public through social media because I lie all the time. And I post, an exclusive look at an episode 8 trailer, and it's a picture of my trailer on the back lot, what my kids call dad humor. So this year, someone said, are you going to post one of your classic April Fool's jokes? And I said, absolutely not. So believe any outrageous, crazy, or absurd notion I post that day. I can't get away with it anymore. It's like the boy who cried wolf. Nobody believes me. That's why on this April Fool's, I didn't even wait. I just put April Fool's picture and said, in episode 8, Luke has taken a vow of silence but communicates telepathically. I'm hoping to do voiceover, but director Ryan Johnson is leaning towards subtitles.
Make the kids read.
Yesterday was the incredible 40th celebration, which you attended. Anything you want to say to all of these incredible fans after 40 years of going on this journey with you?
Well, listen, you people, first of all, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Yeah. Very
no,
nice.
Honestly, you've been so supportive. You're there for us all the time, in good times and bad times. I got a little flat.
There were bad times
because I made the comment. You people are more supportive than my actual family because they criticize and make fun of me. But I'm sure you do too, but not to my face. But no, I thank you all so much. I mean, it really is. It's almost moving when you really think about how we've affected so many people, inspired so many people, and that it's generational, that it's handed down. The original fans are grown with children of their own. I met my wife online for Empire. Whatever it is, it's and going to the hospitals and meeting these kids that have such dire adversities in their lives. No. It makes you feel like it puts things in perspective. It makes you think, maybe just doing voiceovers on cartoons and playing the trickster is so trivial compared to the kind of benefits that these kids get from meeting people like this because it's so inspirational to them. I mean, I met a little boy who had lost his arm because of tuberculosis, and he told me I wasn't worried because Luke lost his hand. I know. You know, I mean, it's tough. I mean, it can be emotionally harrowing. So I always use reverse psychology and say, are you faking? You don't look sick to me. Come on, you're trying to get out of schoolwork, right? But I'm telling you, it's a gift and something that I will never take for granted. So thank you all so much.
Very nice, Mark Hamill.
I would say that this crowd has been unbelievably generous
It's
and
time.
patient. So I'm going
It's
to
time.
ask Ryan, do you have anything that you brought today for the fans?
It's time.
I might. So I want to show you guys this. I'm so excited and happy about this. We have a teaser poster that is
Teaser poster.
Wait a second. I just
April
gotta
Fools.
reenact for everybody at home. This is what we heard. Oh. Just stabbing it.
When you guys see it, so can we put it up? It is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh.
Can we zoom out?
Oh, wow. Very nice. That's a nice poster. Wow.
Oh. That is. Gotta soak that in.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yep.
And you know what? These guys have not seen this either, so they are looking back over their shoulder because they're seeing it for the first time.
That is very, very cool. All right, well, that does it, guys. Thank you so much for coming.
First of all, important to know, every single one of you sitting out there gets one of them.
Ah. They all get one of the posters. So the fans joyously erupt in cheer.
But I'm sorry to say that I don't think we can get Ryan to stay up all night and sign every single one, so I hope you understand that. Maybe.
This has been an absolute thrill. Is there anything else you want to...
Oh, now they're teasing us.
I mean, they seem like they're really interested in more.
Come on, show it already. It's time.
Anything?
There's a trail. Of course there's a trailer. What are you talking about?
There you go.
So I want you guys to know, this is also going to be these guys' first time seeing this trailer. We're going to go
I haven't seen
Cool.
it.
with you together. Let's do this.
They're excited. See
All
it.
right, we're gonna.
Hey, here we
Where
go.
are we going?
This way.
Over here.
Star Wars: The Last Jedi trailer.
I did lines for the
World
trailer.
premiere.
I haven't even seen
You
the
had to do the
footage.
rehearsal. It was this.
Oh, we're going this way.
Ooh, the suspense. Ooh, dark already. Snoke's voice.
Just breathe. Now, reach out.
Maybe not. Is it Hamill's voice?
What do you see?
Light.
Darkness.
Darkness. Her balance is so much bigger.
Christmas. Oh, whoa. Love the red smoke.
I only know one truth.
Ooh.
It's time for the Jedi to end.
It's time for the Jedi to end. Words of Mark Hamill. Skywalker. December. Very cool. Nice little. I would say that was more of a teaser trailer, but didn't show too much, but showed some nice intergalactic scenes, fighting scenes.
Thank you guys so
Everything looks like it's
I am so proud of this
dire.
cast and crew and everything that I'm so proud of this movie. I cannot wait for the coming year to show you guys more and more and to show you the movie eventually. That'll happen eventually.
He looks very excited.
All
That's
I
great.
want to do is watch the trailer in this room with you guys one more time. Roll it again. Guys, thank you so
Gonna roll
much.
it again.
Much more to come. We love you guys. Thank you, Celebration.
Okay, let's see this again. Okay, so Rey is running away from something. She's out of breath.
Breathe.
But she's being asked to breathe.
Just breathe.
Maybe she's getting her Jedi training
Reach out.
in Ireland. yeah, it looks like she's getting her training.
What do you see?
Light.
She sees light. She sees darkness. Yeah.
Her balance
So there has to be a balance at some point.
is so much bigger.
But Luke says it's much bigger than that. So this Christmas, that almost reminds me of the speed race with Anakin in the
I
prequels.
only know one truth.
Looks like there's a lot of death and destruction, that's for sure.
It's time for the Jedi to end.
Why does Luke Skywalker want the Jedi to end? Huh. Guess that is the question. December. Okay, guys. Well, it's a nice little teaser. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more trailers coming within the next few months. Great to finally see something. And great that we finally got to see a little bit of the trailer for The Last Jedi. So thank you guys for watching. We're gonna have more Star Wars news as it comes. Please like, subscribe, and comment on this video, and subscribe, and also check out our blog, the HollywoodGeekReport.com. That's HollywoodGeekReport.com for news updates across Hollywood and beyond. Thanks, guys.